The recording?
Yeah, I have started streaming also.
Okay. Okay. We are starting the meeting now. Very good afternoon to all, everyone. We are all very happy to see each other today. All AIWC members, Suvarna members, other branches of Kerala and outside, and also our office bearers.
95 ഉണ്ട്.
AIWC Delhi. Actually, when we start this meeting today, it seems as if there has been a big gap. In May, we had only one meeting, like prayer meeting. After that, we had postponed all our branch activities because looking at the very depressing and disturbing scenario all around. Now, of course, we are trying to be back on track and slowly trying to organize our regular activities. So we'll start our meeting with a prayer to be rendered by Lakshmi Nandakumar. Over to Lakshmi, please.
Hello, am I audible? I'm on headphones. So
yeah, you're
audible or no? Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Pibare Ram Rasam Rasane Pibare Ram Rasam Pibare Ram Rasam Rasane Janana Marana Bhaya Shoka Viduram Sagala Shastra Nigamagamasaram Janana Marana Bhaya Shoka Viduram Sagala Shastra Nigamagamasaram Pibare Ram Rasam Rasane Pibare Ram Rasam Pibare Ram Rasam Rasane.
Thank you, Lakshmi. That was very nice and melodious.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. First of all, let me draw your attention to the poster. I have kept it in the background. That gives the topic and details of today's discussion. It is groundwater use and conservation. I thought I'll make a special mention of this poster, which has been created by Anju, Usha Rajgopal's daughter-in-law. She's based in US, and she's also niece of our member Suja. She has been, every time she has been helping us with such wonderful, beautiful and unique posters. And in one of our earlier meetings, we had presented a collage of all our posters that she had. I just wanted to make a special mention because we hardly ever put it on the screen and we only use it as an invite. So this time I wanted to put it on the screen. Now, about today's meeting, this idea had come up sometime back during the Water Day celebrations. But at that time, we had two programs which were organized by our zonal organizer. One was on Waterman of India, Sri Rajendra Singh, and then another wonderful program by Srimati Kalpana Ramesh of Hyderabad. So we we wanted to do it at least during the Environment Week. And now today we are able to do it. And of course, any discussion on environment, water, resources, everything is not restricted to one day or 1 week. So we are apt on time. and it will be useful and relevant. And we are very lucky that we have the right person with us today. Advocate K.V. Mohanan, who is an eminent expert on the subject of groundwater. Now, I'll request our President, Srimati Usha Rajgopal, to deliver her welcome address and also introduce today's guest of honor. Let me also tell you, today we have our President, Secretary General, and Treasurer, and others from all other branches as well. So, over to you, Usha ji.
Hello. On behalf of Suvarna AIWC Kozhikode branch, I extend a very warm welcome to all my dear friends who have joined this online program. We are very happy to have Sheila ji, Rahana ji, Kozhikode ji, and our zonal organizer Usha Nair. We are really honored to have you all here. Because of the current pandemic situation, we had not been active for the past 1 month or so. Now we are trying to restart with a topic which is very relevant in the present ever-changing climatic conditions. We are all aware of the grim situation of decreasing groundwater consequent to deforestation, a situation brought about by our own misdeeds. Now we have to implement policies aimed at water conservation. We have to ensure the availability of water for our future generations, where the withdrawal of fresh water from the ecosystem does not exceed its natural replacement rate. Today, we have here with us Advocate K.V. Mohanan, a senior hydrogeologist and a truly multi-talented personality, to talk to us on groundwater, its use and conservation. Advocate K.V. Mohanan hails from Kanjangad in Kasaragod district. He had his MSc Geology from Kerala University and LLB from Calicut University. He served for 30 years for Kerala State Government Groundwater Department in various capacities and retired as senior hydrogeologist. He worked as consultant hydrogeologist for DANIDA, UNICEF, on deputation while on government service. Now he's practicing as a lawyer in Calicut. He's a visiting faculty of IMG, CWRDM, KILA, Kerala Engineers Forum, Kerala Geoscientists Forum, etc. He is the founder of GEM, the Green Earth Movement, an active member and office bearer of Shastra Sahitya Parishad, Essence Global Free Thinkers Forum, Indian Rationalist Association, Kerala Yuktivadi Sangham, etc. He is a producer and director of documentary films. And he is also a model and actor in ads and dramas. Above all, a magician and a mentalist also. A Sagalagala Vallabhan in every sense. Moreover, his spouse, Mrs. Ramani Malay, is our member. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We are all waiting.
Thank you, madam.
We are all waiting for your talk. Now over to Advocate K.V. Mohan for his deliberation. After the talk, there will be an interactive session also. Now over to Advocate K.V. Mohan. Thank you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. I am thankful to the organizers of this All India movement, All India Women's Conference, its Secretary, Calicut Chapter Secretary and President, Bhuvaneshwari Madam, Usha Rajgopal, and my guru, my teacher, who is also attending this webinar, our beloved Rita teacher.
Oh.
And I have to give a special appreciation to the person who designed this brochure, who is Anju from Dallas, who is the daughter-in-law of our Usha Rajagopal. Very beautiful design, and which is very in-depth meaning, which indicates everything. And I also like to mention about my relative and good friend, Lakshmi Bai, who is an IRS retired, for suggesting my name to this great platform to talk about groundwater use and resource. Above all, I came to know many of the things about this organization through my wife. She is also a member of this great organization. That this organization is having a long back history dating back 1927. It's an Irish founder and led by many eminent leaders such as Saratuni Naidu, Vijayalakshmi Pandit and all. And I should get some links from Bhuvaneshwari Madam about the last classes which were conducted by eminent experts in the field of environment. So basically, I am not an expert. I would say I am not an expert. I had been having the opportunity to have the experience in the state groundwater department and UNICEF and DANIDA for so many years about the various aspects of these groundwater related issues. So I won't take much of your time because the subject is a little bit technical. So there is every chance that you may fall asleep while I was talking. It's a time also after a heavy lunch, hearing a technical subject which may be boredom, it may be boring you, you may feel asleep. Though don't worry if you sleep, but don't forget to switch off your video. That's the only thing. With that, I will be taking you to some of the basic aspects of groundwater, leaving all the jargons and all other So let us have an idea precisely. Madam, is it okay now? The slides?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
Precisely, we will be discussing something about the availability, use, conservation, and the recharge. We will start with the national scenario of water. I know well that you are all aware of all these things, but before going into the subject, I would like to remind you some or try to make you to recollect something which you are already aware and which is known to you. See, this is the global water scenario. That means we know that the earth upon which we are dwelling is covered with more than 2/3 of it is water. But 97% of the total volume of the water on the surface, that is silent. Only 3% is left for human use. And even out of the 2%, even out of the 3%, 2% is fresh water, but it is not in the usable form. It is either trapped in the polar region as ice glaciers or not in the usable form. Only available resources, you might think how much precious it is. The only available resource is the 1% of the sun out of this 100%. And among these 1%, 0.6% is the groundwater and 0.4% is the surface water. That means in the earth, groundwater is more in abundance compared to surface water. Now, when we quantify the water availability, globally, there is 22.62 million kilometer cube of water available. And in India, we have 253 billion cubic meter. And coming to Kerala, the availability is 6.62 billion cubic meters. Now, let us have a very, very preliminary idea what actually this groundwater is, because we are going to discuss about the use, conservation, and recharge of groundwater. So we should have precisely not the high technical definition and all, but at least we should know what actually is groundwater and what actually is not groundwater. You might have been come across this hydrologic cycle. We know the water which is available on the earth is in a cyclic process. These are all the components of this hydrologic cycle. One is precipitation, that is the rainwater that is reaching on the surface of the earth. See, when the rainwater reaches on the surface of the earth, one portion will be passed to the rivers and streams as surface runoff. Then a little portion will be percolating into the earth, which again will be transferred to the rivers and seas as subsurface runoff. Then a particular portion will be going and it will be reaching the groundwater resources. From the surface, water will be evaporated to the atmosphere from the seas, from the rivers, from the wells, lakes, from everywhere. This water will be evaporating and entering into the atmosphere. Then even from the leaves of the trees, a particular quantity of water will be evaporated. That is called evapotranspiration. So that again will also be joining to the atmosphere. So the peculiar thing is that total volume of water circulating in the hydrologic cycle is a constant. We cannot do anything in the volume. We cannot either increase or we cannot either decrease the total volume of water which is circulating in the hydrologic cycle. So groundwater, when we think about groundwater recharge, we should bear in mind that either of the component of the hydrologic cycle we can alter. Either we can reduce the surface runoff or either we can reduce the subsurface runoff. That means when we reduce the surface runoff or the subsurface runoff, that will invariably increase the percolation rate. This is the basic principle. That is the manipulation of any component in the hydrologic cycle is the principle behind the groundwater recharge. Now, this is the precise and most scientific definition which is accepted all over by the scientific community. Groundwater means the water which exists below the surface of the ground at any location or at any particular category of location. You may look, the definition is very simple, very precise. See, why I'm highlighting this definition is because there is a misconception about groundwater even among the educated people. See, for some people, that which water they're tapping through the borewells and the borewells and the tube wells are only groundwater. And the water which we are talking, the water which we are tapping through the open wells is not the groundwater. So precisely when we apply this scientific definition, whatever water we are tapping through the open dug wells, from the bore wells, from the tube wells, from the filter point wells, every water is groundwater. See, just because of this misunderstanding about the groundwater definition, even the educated community also thinks that when we drill some bore wells in some particular places, that will affect or that will grab away the full groundwater resources, and that will affect the open dug wells in that area. So ultimately, whatever water which is being gathered at the surface, below the surface, in any geological formation, which should invariably porous and permeable, that water is called groundwater, and the formation which stores that water is called aquifer. I request you to just remember this term aquifer, which will be coming across in our discussion for the discussion. So that is the aquifer, a subsurface geological formation which is capable of holding water in such a way that it can yield considerable water. Any such formation which is lying beneath the earth will be termed as aquifer. We will not be going into the details. There are 3 types of aquifer, such things we will leave. One is confined aquifer, unconfined aquifer. The thing is, almost all open duct wells, we are tapping the unconfined aquifer, and almost all bore wells and tube wells, we are tapping the confined aquifer. See, notice that these 2 confined and unconfined aquifers, generally in 99%, these are not interconnected. So the interference between borewell and open well is a misconception in general terms. Now, this is the diagram for aquifers. Now, let us look upon the various water demands. See, my dear sister, for producing 1 ton of grain, we need 1,000 tons of water. For producing 1 ton of rice, we require 2,000 tons of water. You may wonder why we need water for producing steel. But in order to produce steel, we require 70,000 gallons. And even for producing 1 ton of paper, we need 64,000 gallons of water. Then for cloth, 1 ton, when we produce 1 ton of cloth, depending upon the variety of the cloth, the demand varies from 10 to 75. Now look upon the virtual demand of water. To produce 1 kilogram of wheat, we need 1,000 liters of water. Think about producing 1 kilogram of wheat. That means it is 15 times more than that of 1 kilogram of rice. That is, production of 1 kilogram of wheat goes 15,000 to 5,000 liters of water. When 1 kilogram of cooked beef is coming on a table, we should look upon with a purview that we are consuming 15,500 liters of water. Then production 1 kilogram of egg, that cost about 3,300 liters of water. Production of 1 kilogram of broken rice, that will cost about 3,400 liters of water. See, the UNICEF and the Australian Food and Grocery Association recently produced their report. They say on an average, we are all people using 1 or 2 motor vehicles. So on an average, 1-ton passenger car has about 4 lakhs of liter water embedded in it. And the construction of a small house using combination method required about 6 million liters of water. When we construct a small using combination methods, the water consumption or the water consumed is 6 million lakhs. See how we are using water. Just think about the way in which we are using water. We know that there will be in every house we will be having some 3 to 4 flush. When we flush our flush tank in the bathroom, you imagine 13.5 liters of water will be gone. That on an Indian average, the average use of water by an Indian citizen is 135 liters. And it is computed for Kerala, a Kerala citizen, a Kerala person, they use 200 liters of water. Means he is wasting 65 liters of water everywhere. Our literacy 100%. And see, look about the shower bath. See, normally we people use our shower bath. See how we are taking our bath on the shower, sing some 2 or 3 film songs. By 10 minutes when we spend, 225 liters, water will be gone. When we clean our teeth, after opening the tap for 10 minutes, 18 liters of water will be gone. Then brushing the teeth by keeping on the tap open, 1 liter will be gone. See, it is computed that on an average, the lifespan, considering the lifespan as 80 years, a human being in his whole lifetime, before leaving this world, will be using 57 lakhs and 60,000 liters of water. 57 lakhs, 60,000 liters of water. See, why I have given all these statistics, not just to bore you, but to inculcate in you the way in which we are using water and the extreme uh, the necessity of the water, and also how precious this resources is, and even how we are misusing the water. So in order to have, to give a background idea only, I have put before you all these statistics. Now, let me ask one question. See, you can see two concrete bricks there. Have you ever imagined how much quantity of water is needed in order to construct one such brick? You can use your chat box, or either you can unmute and you can tell me your approximation. How much quantity of water is required for producing such a concrete brick? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we are here.
Either you can use your chat box, or you can unmute and say roughly how much quantity you presume to be needed for constructing such a block, concrete block. Any idea?
No idea.
No idea. Nobody is having any idea.
No idea.
No idea. Never thought of such things. That is what I think. Because we may think that that is none of our business to think about what quantity is needed and all. See, we need 30 to 40 liters of water to produce such a concrete. Why I put this message to you? Because you think about the number of blocks needed for a single house. One single block's cost, or one single blocks may consume 35 to 40 liters of water. So when multiply the number of blocks needed for a house, you can compute how much quantity you want. See, nowadays we are not depending upon the wells for our water requirement. We are depending upon this packaged drinking water. This 20-liter bottle that is coming in every house, in every flat, everybody is purchased. We don't know how much pure it is, whether it is potable, from where it is coming and on. This is a very big industry now. This again is a water tanker business, water tanker lorry. In almost all luxury flats, they depend upon 3 to 4 months for this tanker lorry. And such flats and satellite townships are coming in our city, all over Kerala, in a drastic way. See, in a satellite township, the number of families it will be 400 to 500. So you can compute. If the minimum requirement is 500 for family, from a single place, we have to tap a very huge quantity of water for their domestic purpose. Not only for the domestic purpose, in almost all those luxury flats, they will be having this recreation purpose, swimming pools. But for that also, we need heavy, huge quantity of. So the resources is very limited. That is the 1% which is available, which I have shown in the beginning. And so now the situation is like that. There is big war, there is big quarrel, there is big conflict in sharing these precious resources. The conflict may be between nations, between states. You may be knowing about the Kaveri issue and the Mullaperiyar issue and all. That is all been sharing this natural resources. Now the situation is, even the sharing water within a panchayat, there is very big conflicts between them. So newspapers are writing editorial columns about the war, the water war. That is the reason for this water war. Now I am focusing on Kerala geology and Kerala resources only. See, Kerala, we have to look, it is a very small land mass having a area of 38,863 square kilometers. We have 14 rivers. We have 152 development blocks, 44 rivers, receiving 3,300 millimeters of rain, which is 2.75 times more than that of the national average. We have 34 lakes. See, we have 44 rivers. We have 3,300 millimeters of rainwater. But we know more than 37% of the Kerala population is devoid of drinking water. Here it is very crucial to access the resources. What happens? See, Kerala, it's a peculiar, it's having some unique features. 90% of the drinking water scheme in Kerala depends upon groundwater. And more than 60% of the population, Kerala, depend upon op. And Kerala is such a place which is having unique well density, which is not there in any of the place in this globe. See, the well density is 250 to 300 per square kilometers. There is no other place in the whole world which is having this type of high well density. And you know, in Kerala, we have 95 lakhs of open deck wells. See, you can imagine by just assuming the cost of one duck well from 1.5 to 2 lakhs, you can just imagine how much amount the Kerala has invested in the construction of open duck. And here just to be assessed, what is the condition? See, we have 44 rivers, but is it a myth? If the 44 rivers are there should, in such a small landmass, we should not have the water scarcity. But look about these 44 rivers. Why? Because, see, earlier our planning experts were having a concept that we are having Kerala is a land which is surplus in both surface water and groundwater. Just because of the fact that we are having 44 rivers and 3,300 millimeters of rainfall. These two are the things which we need for the requirement of water. But what is the case with our 44 rivers? That is why I put the title as, is it a myth? It is a magical number. See, in Kerala, a river is defined. It is having 15 kilometers length, is classified as a river. But there is a national norm in classifying the river into major rivers, medium rivers, and minor rivers. Rivers with a drainage more than 20,000 square kilometers are classified as major rivers, and rivers with a drainage more than 2,000 square kilometers but less than 20,000 square kilometers are medium rivers, and rivers with a drainage less than 2,000 square kilometers are minor rivers. This is the national norm of classifying rivers. When we apply the national norm of classification of these rivers, we can see that out of these 44 rivers, it does not have even a single major river. Kerala does not have even a single major. Ultimately, what we are having is only 4 medium rivers and 40 minor rivers. So this 44 number that we have, these 44 rivers, is only a magical number. Then you compare the total discharge of these 44 rivers, that is computed at 72,873 million cubic meter. You compare that with a discharge of one single Godavari, you can see it is 1,05,000. Means when we put the total drainage of our 44 rivers, that is not even equal to half of the discharge of one single river Godavari. This points that we cannot depend upon the 44 rivers in such a small area. What is the case? What is the position of the river? It means it is not equivalent to just even half of this Godavari. Now come back about the Kerala rainwater scenario. This bar chart indicates it's a comparison between the rainwater availability with some of the adjacents. You can see from the bar chart that Kerala is the place having the maximum rainfall, that is round about 10 meters. None of the other states is not having even the half of that rainfall. So Kerala is receiving that much rainfall. When we look into the other bar chart, this is a bar chart indicating the comparison of surface water availability and groundwater availability. And the blue chart that indicates the surface water availability, and the brown bar chart indicates the groundwater availability. In the previous slide, you have seen that Kerala is the place having maximum rainfall, that is more than 2.75 times of the national average. Here you can see that comparing to other nearby states, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and all, Kerala is one of the states which is having the least availability of groundwater and surface. Hey, all this, that is another thing, the per capita water availability. See, we are receiving 3,300 millimeters of rainfall. That is true. That is an index of richness. But the more specific thing is how much quantity a person in Kerala is receiving, or the per capita water availability. That is the true index of richness of water. We know on one side we are receiving 2.75 times of water, rainwater, but at the same unit of land in Kerala, we have to support 3.6 times biomass, food, and even drinking water. Put that on one side, because we know that Kerala is having the maximum density of population. That is why when we receive 2.75 times of water on one side, with that same water, we have to feed 3.6 times of population here. That also increase the per capita water availability. A recent study for the last 100 years has been computed. We know that the per capita, the water availability in a particular landmass, in a particular unit of place will be constant. But when population increase, the per capita availability will. So it is natural that natural water availability will go on decrease. The studies state that for India for the last 100 years, the per capita decrease, water availability decrease is fourfold, but for Kerala, it is fivefold. That means Kerala is one of the places which is having the least potentiality. The concept that Kerala, it is a God's own country, we have enough number of water bodies. We have 3,300 millimeters of rain. We have 44 rivers, and we have 34 lakes, etc., etc. Are all magical numbers. Kerala, precisely, naturally, is not a water state. It is a state, even by nature itself, is a water scarcity. So, whatever plans we have done previously, on the concept that we have surplus water, that is why many of our drinking water project has been a total failure. Now, this being the situation, natural situation, what we literate people are doing in Kerala in the name of development. See, this is a clay mining and conversion of wetland. This is the picture. Wetlands are being converted to other types of lands where we construct heavy, huge buildings and all. There is very wetlands are being converted very fastly. Now, the wetland percentage of wetland percentage in Kerala is very limited. And even clay mining, you can see once we do the clay mining, that portion will be variably, it will attack the groundwater. You may ask one question. This is the particular question that we always come across. Shall we don't need this stuff? Yes, development we need, but there should be a limit. There should be a limit in given how much clay, how much wetland we can convert. In some places, there cannot be chance for even a single person. Then our option whether we should preserve the water availability or we should go for the development act. This is the laterite mining quarry. You can see that very extensively laterite is being mined from the surface of the earth, which is very adversely affect the groundwater. This is a part of our beautification. This we can see in our town area, in villas, where we construct a beautiful villa. We will decorate our compound with all vitrified tiles and interlocks in a way that even a single drop of water we will not allow to penetrate into the roof. So this is a part of. Immediately when rain is coming, there will be flood. This is what we are doing in the name of beautification. This is indiscriminate pumping. This was previously there in Tamil Nadu. When Tamil Nadu government started a scheme by which the industrial, for farmers, they need not pay electricity charge. The same rule is being applied in Kerala now. Any farmer can pump his groundwater extensively, indiscriminately. So what is doing? We do this. Due to this indiscriminate pumping, a very huge quantity of groundwater is being wasted. Yes, you might be aware about the sand mining, sand mafia even. Now it is called sand mafia because we are mining. They are not taking sand, but they are mining. This will invariably affect the groundwater resource. Then deforestation. I think I need not talk about deforestation because even in today's newspaper also, we are reading great news from local village of Wayanad district about the deforestation. If you look into the Google map of pre-independent India and independent India, you can see how much quantity of forest has been devastated. Now we don't have about 42, more than 42% of the forest has been devastated. So this also again affect the water resources, even the surface water and groundwater. So by nature itself, we are shortage in water, groundwater. With our activities, we are more making the situation adverse. Now here comes the relevance of artificial recharge. The artificial recharge is a term which is talked very extensively, very elaborately. Precisely, there are so many technical definitions. Precisely, what is artificial recharge? Transferring of surface water to the aquifer by human interference. That is called the artificial recharge. Any drop of water, if we can transfer to the aquifer with our interference, that is called artificial recharge. Precisely, any man-made activity that adds water to an aquifer may be considered as an artificial recharge. Let us bother about all the technicalities and technical definitions of these artificial recharge. See, whatever, if with our effort, if we can contribute a single drop of water to the below-lying aquifer, that is called artificial recharge. The artificial recharge is an essential thing nowadays. Why? Because we know that there is natural recharge, but this natural recharge, it is a very slow process. The discharge, that is the water that we are taking from the aquifer, is on an enormous quantity. Or the groundwater trap, that is a total amount of water that we are taking from the aquifer. That is on a huge scale, and the water that we are recharging or through the natural recharge, that is very slow, and the quantity is also very little. So that happens in the groundwater equilibrium equation. The balance will be changed, and there happens sharp depletion of water table. So in order to control or in order to make up the groundwater balance, artificial recharge is needed. See, there are conventional methods. None of these methods, our predecessors were very much aware of the groundwater conservation techniques. One is terracing. See, in almost all our cultivation types, this type of practice was prevailing in Kerala. Nowadays, the cultivation pattern has been changed, and many changes happened in our cultivation and land use pattern. So now in a little bit area, these old methods are prevailing. One of the old artificial conservation techniques is terracing. That is to reduce the slope of the terrace, reduce the top of the land, and make it into terraces so that the surface runoff, which you have seen in the hydrological cycle, will be reduced. Then contour bunds, construct bunds parallel to the contour. Then to construct check dam across, that is dams, small dams across the streams, then ventilated crossbar, then subsurface dike, that is the underground dam, which is constructed beneath the ground, which will arrest the flow of groundwater. And by that way, that will increase the water level in the upstream side of the subsurface type. Then to construct infiltration pits and allow the rainwater to recharge these pits. Then contour trenches, constructs a unified trenches with the same dimension parallel to the contours. Then gabion structures, then gully plugging. I shall show you some of the figures. This is a typical example of terracing, which type of water conservation method was prevalent in Kerala quite long time. So here, slope of the terrain is cut into slopes, and wherever there is terraces, the surface runoff will be, the velocity of surface runoff will be minimized, thereby the percolation rate will be increased. This is the typical landmass, where it is shown this cultivation. Now people are going to see these terrace cultivation. Now this is contour bunds, construction of bunds parallel to the contour. So ultimately what will happen, these contour bunds will withhold the flow of surface water, or the velocity of the surface runoff will be reduced, thereby that will allow to penetrate or percolate more water into the ground surface, into the below the aquifer. So this is a typical picture of a contour bunded area. Now this is check dam. See, while constructing the check dam, scientific investigation should be done. This is a check dam, a small dam will be constructed across the stream and allowing a particular amount of flow of water to go through, and the remaining water will be impounded there. That water we can use for different purposes, for agriculture purposes and drinking purposes and all. And that at the very same time, this impounded water will recharge the nearby open duct wells, thereby increasing the water potentiality of the open duct wells in the nearby area. But while constructing, there are some principles, scientific principles, which should be observed very strictly in constructing the dam across the rivers. See, if we construct the check dam in such a way, most unscientifically, that will even lead to the death of the river. What is happening in Bharatapuzha now, the main reason for its death is unscientific construction of this check dam. Now, this is called another check dam. This actually is the diagram of the subsurface type. You can see a very big concrete wall is being constructed underground. This concrete wall joins two hillocks. So what will happen? This is an impervious concrete wall, which will arrest, nothing will be seen on the surface. And this concrete wall will arrest all the groundwater flow. And that way, on upstream side of this check dam, it will be, the water level will be increasing. Of course, there will be some adverse effects on the downstream side of this check dam. Now, this is contour trenches, which I told you, construction of trenches in parallel to the contour, which will ultimately reduce the flow of surface runoff and which will allow the rate of percolation more. Then this is gabion structure. This is a temporary obstruction constructed across the river using these loose boulders and wire meshes. And this is gully plugging. Gully plugging that is done in a micro watershed by plugging all the first order stream junctions with impervious material. So ultimately, what will happen during the rainy season, whatever rainwater is being received in this micro watershed will not be lost as surface runoff or subsurface runoff. That will directly percolate and will add to the groundwater aquifer. These are all the conservation techniques which were prevalent in Kerala, and during that time, they were not facing this much of water threat. Now, these are all in archive. We cannot, even the pictures are not available nowadays. Now, this actually is a groundwater recharge structure which is coming to being unexpectedly. This is a big laterite quarry when it is filled with water, rainwater, that will act as a very good groundwater recharging structure. See, we have very big temple ponds. Almost all these temple ponds are all groundwater recharge structures. But what we are doing is we are filling almost all the ponds. Even Calicut, from where talking, even in Calicut, there were 21 large ponds upon which now we can see multi-storied building. So these temple ponds are also very good groundwater recharge structures. Now, these conventional structures are having some limitations. One thing is these conventional recharge structures need large area and huge amount. Then it is a community-based program, which is very much difficult in Kerala, and it has some negative effects, and it creates some environmental issues. And the main thing is the result is not point specific. If somebody asks you if I can do one check dam construction, will it improve my well? You cannot say, but because that check dam will improve a whole area, not point specific. So there are modern concepts where we are coming to the rainwater harvesting and aquifer well recharge, etc., water recycling, desalinization of water. These are all the modern concept of water conservation and use. So what is the rainwater harvesting? I think you might be knowing about the rainwater harvesting. These are all the main components which is needed for roof rainwater harvesting. We need a roof, we need these gutters, that is the PVC pipes, roof washer, one filter, delivery system. This is the plan and elevation of a typical rainwater harvesting structure. From such a small home, the roof is connected with PVC gutters, and the rainwater is collected through these PVC gutters that will be transferred to the delivery pipe, and it will be charged into a filter pack. From the filter pack, that will be directly charging the open well. Here, we should be careful about the recharging a well using rainwater. Without filtering, we should not charge that water to the well, because it will be going to the aquifer. Once we pollute the aquifer, it will take years to purify the aquifer. See, the pollution of the aquifer and the purification of aquifer is totally a different fact. If you pollute a river, immediately within 24 hours of removing the pollutant from the source of pollution, the river will be clean. But once you pollute the aquifer, it will take years to depollute the aquifer. So we should be very careful when we are injecting any drop of water to us. That is why normally rainwater will be pure. It will not be having not much chemical content. But even then, we have to filter the well. The type of the filter we will be discussing later. So once it will be passed through the filter, then it will be charged into the well. In the same way we can chart. There are so many numbers of borewells which are becoming dry in Kerala, or which are showing a decline trend in their water. In the same way, by collecting the water from the rooftop, we can recharge a borewell also. The very simple thing, we have to make an excavation around the well, and it should be filled with this filter material that we'll be discussing shortly later. So that filter media, water will be injected through that filter media that will be going to the confined aquifer, which is lying at a deeper level, that thereby improving the quality and quantity of the aquifer. This is the recharge pit. You know, in spite of transferring the water direct to the well, here we are recharging a pit. See, this pit construction, that is very simple. This we can adopt even on town area where we are having land holding, very limited land holding, say 3 to 5 cents of land. We can construct large such pits around the compound wall. We can fill it, no surface area will be lost. We can fill it from the top, and the roof water, once we collect it to the gutter, transfer it to the pipe, then simply inject into these pits. If you are having an open well in between that compound, it will directly influence the open well. Even otherwise, we don't have an open well in our compound, don't worry, it will favorably influence the neighbors. This is the recharge pit. Such recharge pits, even we can construct even our small land holding. See, we can do one thing more. See, before charging into the pit, we can construct a water tank. See, most of the flats and most of the villas will be having such a tanks. So we can charge into after filtering the water, we have to insert a filter. Then after filtering the water, we can charge into the from the overflowing water, we can directly charge into these pit. That way, we can conserve the water that we can use at least for 4 to 5 months we can use. Now, this is the filter that we have to use after water collecting from the roof through this gutter. We have to, the delivery pipe has to be connected to this filter. This is a conventional method of model of filter, which will be filled. Suppose it is a syntax stand having any volume, which will be bottom 10% will be filled with metal or gravel, and the 10% will be the sand, and the 10% with the activated carbon, and again 10% with the sand, and on the top you can fill it with either metal or gravel, and the 45% of this upper portion will be left empty. Say once water it is collected from the roof, it will be passing through this filter, and the filtered water will be going to the well or the sump, which according to our plan. Now, this is another model of simplified conventional filter, where it is the filter material is packed inside the PVC pipe and it is connected. This we can fix into our house walls. So this is the inside of the filter. On the top, you can see baby metal, a gravel, activated carbon, and there is one outlet and inlet. The inlet we have to connect to the rainwater, and the outlet either to the sump or the well. See, but these, as we have seen the conservation, these conventional filters are having some limitation. Filtering fails due to chalking. See, for a prolonged time, we use that filter that will be chalked with the dust particles. So that is one of the limitation. Then major particles, minor particles, very minute particles of micron size, millimicron size will not be filtered. And another limitation is if our roof area is very big or the quantity of water that we have to filter is very high, invariably we have to make large size filters. Then it needs periodic maintenance. These are some of the limitations, but even with that limitation, we can use it. But we have latest model filters available in the market, which is very cute. We can fix simply by the help of a plumber using 2 clips. We can fix it into the wall and connect the outlet of the rainwater collection to the inlet of this rainy filter. This is called the rainy filters. You can connect with the rainy filter inlet. Then the outlet, you can recharge the groundwater sump, and with the overflowing water, you can charge your well. All the muddy, dusty water that will automatically go through the outlet, which is at the bottom of the filter. Depending upon the size of the roof area, or depending upon the volume of water that we have to filter, the size of the filter, the pattern of the filter will vary. A certain number of filters are available in the market. Roughly, it goes from 75,500 to 11,000 rupees. Simply, see, almost all our in the town area, our almost all houses are having already fitted with PVC gutters and drain pipes. The simple thing we have to do is just connect this filter, and just we will be having one sump also. We can charge the filtered water to the sump. We can use rainwater for 3 to 4 or 5 months in a year, thereby save a huge amount of money. Consider 1 rupee per liter, how much quantity we can save. This is a rough calculation, how much water we can tap, how much rainwater we can store from a small roof area. Here, the roof area considers only 50 square meters. That is the roof area of a bedroom, say 10 meters length and 5 meters width. Such a small roof, you calculate, the rainfall that we are receiving is 3000 millimeters. There is a runoff coefficient. That means we will be using different materials for roofing. We may be using tiles, RMP sheet, aluminum sheet, GI sheet. So depending upon the material, there is a runoff coefficient. For tiles is 0.75. So from a small roof area of 50 square meters, we can compute how much quantity of rainwater we can collect. It is 50 into 3 into 0.75. That means 1,12,500 liters of water we can cost. Means if you put 1 rupee per liter, we can save, per year we can save more than 1 lakh rupee by simply putting a a rainy filter attaching it to your home. So the cost of the tank, how much cost it will come to construct a groundwater sump. It is a rough calculation. If you are constructing it with concrete walls and pakka, the rough cost will be rupees 25 per liter. If you are using laterite masonry and all, the cost may come rupees 15 per liter. And even cheaper, you can construct using ferro cement, using this chicken mesh and all. The cost will be roughly rupees 11,000 per liter. And if you use syntax tank, the cost will come around roughly 7 rupees per liter. There are even the cheaper methods by which we can reduce the cost further. Say, we will discuss something about the quality of the water also, and we will wind up. Say, Bureau of Indian Standard has fixed some parameters to decide whether the water that we are drinking, the water that we are using, is whether it is potable or not. See, there are some 6 or 7 qualities, some parameters. That is, one is the color of the water, odor of the water, taste, its turbidity, its pH value, its hardness, then the content, iron content, chloride content, then total dissolved solids, then calcium, nitrate, fluoride, etc. These are all the parameters which should be in a desirable. There are 2 limits. One is the desirable limit, and other thing is the permissible limit. Desirable limit is the most ideal limit. Say, for example, the desirable limit fixed for iron content in drinking water is 0.3 parts per million. It can go up to 1 parts per million. So up to 1 parts per million, it is permissible. But beyond that, it is not permissible. Such water need chemical treatment to removing the iron, etc., before using. So, Bureau of Indian Standard has fixed such parameters, which should be what will be the maximum, what will be the desirable. This is the Bureau of Indian. See, these are all not the ingredients. There are so many other rare earth elements and more other contents has to be looked into. But normally, whether to decide a water sample is potable or not, normally the rate of these parameters are being. If these are within the normal, that water will be decided as a potable. Now, the main quality problems that we come across in Kerala, one is the iron content. In many of the open dug well water and in many of the borewell water, the content of iron in analysis sees it is more than 1 ppm. Then the pH value also, it is when the ideal value is between 6.5 to 8.5. Any value below 6.5, the water will be acidic, and any value above 8.5, the water will be alkaline. So there are, in certain areas in Kerala, the water is showing low pH, and certain area it is showing high pH. So that water again has to be treated. Then turbidity, then total hardness. Hardness is due to the high content percentage of calcium and magnesium. Then the TDS, that is the total dissolved solids. The limit set is 1000. If the water is having the TDS more than 1000, that is not suitable for drinking. Then chloride content and E. coli and coliform bacteria. These are all the general quality problems that we come across. Now, let us examine some of the symptoms and their reasons. See, certain water that shows iron tasty and change in color when exposed to air, change in color of clothes and utensils when it is washed using that water. And when it is kept open, an oily appearance on the top of the water. You see such symptoms, that's the visible effects. You can imagine that the content of iron percentage is more than 1%. Then in certain water, the soap may not be, the leathering of the soap may not. So that is due to the hardness. Hardness means the content of calcium and magnesium will be more than the permissible limit. See, when we continuously use water, there will be black streaks on the teeth. That is due to the content of high percentage of fluoride. When this is continued, it will lead to dental fluorosis. This disease is called the dental fluorosis, and skeletal, it may lead to skeletal fluorosis. See, there are water in which the growth of algae, when we keep a bottle of water, there will be growth of algae that is due to the high percentage of nitrate and phosphate. We may come across certain water in which fish may not live. Immediately on putting the fish, that fish will die. That is due to the low pH and due to the less content of dissolved oxygen. That water is acidic. Then as salty taste, that is due to the high content of fluoride. Then water turns black, that is wastewater. Then acidic taste, low pH, alkaline taste, high pH. Boiled rice, in certain water, when rice is boiled, it will become very hard and turn into yellow color. That is the pH value or the high alkalinity. pH value of water is high. And it's a common thing that white deposit on the bottom of the water. When we boil the water, there will be white deposit. This is the hardness of water. So these are all the commonly occurring quality issues. Now, that is wind up by what is meant by water literacy. We know that we are our literacy percentage in Kerala, we are 100. But I say, in the case of water literacy, we are far behind, even behind some of the northern states. See, this is the Panchashila of water literacy. What we should do: avoid misuse of. We should not misuse. I have seen that we are misusing. Then avoid pollution of water. We should not pollute water. Then adopt water recycling. That is a new technique which is most popularly used in many of the hospitals in Kerala. So, by adopting water recycling technique, we can minimize demand. If we have 1,000 liters of water, if we use 1,000 liters of water, if we can recycle it, 800 liters of water we can get back after recycling. So we have to add 200 liters. So recycling of water, adopt any of the water conservation, either it is rainwater harvesting or any conventional methods, adopt groundwater conservation methods and adopt water recharge method. So these are all the Panchashila of water literacy. So this much is what I wish to share with you, and let me express my sincere thanks for providing this excellent opportunity to interact with such an elite class of people in sharing a few views which I gathered through my life experience. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we open the floor for, can we open the floor for discussion, sir, now?
Definitely, madam. Definitely.
So before we open the floor for discussion, I would request, we have Sheilaji, Kuljitji and Rehanaji here. And Sheilaji, would you like to say a few words before opening the floor, please? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You can stop the screen share so that we can, yeah.
Thank you very much, Ushaji. This was very well organized program, and I am very much grateful to our today's speaker, Advocate Mohanan, hydrogeologist, for giving us deep insights into the problems of our consumable water also and groundwater also. We only know, common public, common layman, our women folks, they only know about how to save water, domestic water, but nothing much more than that. You gave us more information about recycling and rainwater harvesting and other methods, how the rainwater is harvested all over Kerala. All those methods you told us in detail. That will be really helpful for our members in Kerala also, and those members who are attending from all over the country. They can be also benefited by this talk, definitely. In head office at New Delhi, 6 Bhagwan Das Road, we are having recycling sewage water treatment plant, and we use that water for gardening. That we are doing. Then we are having rainwater harvesting also at head office. That's how we conserve water and use it. It was wonderful listening to you, and I think we should have such program more open to our other members of North India also, West and East also. Most of the people today joined are from South India, but North India also requires such information in detail, because some of the parts in Maharashtra, Gujarat, they also have a lot of rains, and the water can be stored and utilized also. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Usha ji, for giving my views on today's talks. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sheilaji.
Thank you, Sheila ji. Now, Kuljit ji and Rehana ji, would you like to say anything? Kuljit ji is there? I don't know if she is there. Yeah. She's not there, I believe.
She's not there.
Yeah, no. Rehana ji, now we can, I think we have few questions in the chat box, sir. Shall I read it out, or we have some questions like, or Bhanumati ji is there. She is from Canada. She says constructing cellars is one reason for groundwater level to decrease as the water is pumped out. Is there anything you would like to reply to that, sir?
Yeah, I have seen that question. Madam, what you meant by cellars? I couldn't get.
They're parking when we are constructing apartments and everything.
Yeah.
They plan the cellars to park for parking place, just to save the place to construct another floor, like that. Cellar means
Basement.
Yeah,
Basement, is it?
Yeah, more or less basement. Yeah, basement. That is the
Yeah.
proper.
Basement parking these days in the big.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delhi also we have that.
Now I got it. True, you are true, madam. Say, when we are constructing a large building of flats or something like that, the basement will be made waterproof.
Yeah, that should
the
be.
basement area, they will be make waterproof. That will very adversely affect the groundwater flow. See, entire basement area, there will be there will be covering with impervious, very large concrete walls, but towards the bottom of the area, till the water table, till below the water table. So what will happen? That will block the groundwater flow ultimately. Otherwise, these basement areas should be the collecting area of water. If we construct the well, then we will get water. But such water flow will be arrested using these cellars. You are absolutely right.
Yes, sir. That's why here in Andhra Pradesh, our inner area, and we just exactly what when we asked for development for our flat, they said we have to build that cellar basement parking. Then we said no need. If you can construct like that as it is, there is no, you come forward, or else just leave it like that. So, sir, when we used to see that, sir, they pump like anything. Water, that water will go into the drainage.
Yeah, they have to water the entire area. Then only they can construct.
Yes, sir. They have to water.
They have to dewater.
Yeah.
Hey, madam, but we can do one thing because we can directly tap the rainwater. We need not depend. See, this rainwater, basically it is rainwater. It goes to the
Yes,
below the
yes.
surface, then it is storing there.
Yeah.
So
No,
even before going into the aquifer, we can collect it and we can use it.
But they will just put the pipes directly into the drain water. The drain is open drains here in our place, so they will go into the drain water. Next,
Yeah.
another thing, just I want to share one more thing, sir. In my childhood, my grandfather was a doctor. He used to collect the rainwater direct from the sky, direct into the big pipas, glass bottles with a small nozzle. Then they used to use it as sterile water for like that. That is very nice. Who used to collect those papers when the rain is starting? Just first few minutes they used to leave it like that. Then they will collect it. I think now I think that time air is not that much polluted like this now. I think so.
Actually, this groundwater is the most purest form of water in the world.
Yes.
Except dust particles, and in the first rain there will be some sulfur content from the atmosphere. That these two things will be there in the first rain. So we have to avoid the first rain. Even in the even while we are collecting, nothing else will be there. But when we are charging in the aquifer, we should be much careful because if in any way any ingredient has collected through the rainfall and which will be charging the water, if that enters into the water, the aquifer will be polluted. That is why we are using this filter. That filter simply filters the dust particles only. It is capable of filtering that dust and mud and all. No, it's not capable of filtering or rectifying any chemical content. But normally there will not be any chemical content.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Shall I ask, madam? Shall I?
Yes, Setulashmi, 1 minute. There are some things in the chat box. Shall we finish? Otherwise, we will leave it out.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. In the chat box, sir, you have seen some, of course, appreciations from Shanti Sharma and Valsla Gopinath and all that. Other than that, Mr. Ravi Nair, he is an expert on this subject also, sir. He has done one app and all that he has invented. So he is asking, do you have any data about how much water is being wasted as overhead tank water flow? Mr. Ravi Nair, you can come online and talk as well, if you would like to. Yes, sir. Otherwise, yeah.
It is a very, very relevant question while we are assessing the wastage of water. But unfortunately, I don't have. Even my department also is not having any such data. How much quantity of water is being wasted as water overflow from a tank? I don't know whether the civil engineering department of Kerala is having or not. I don't know. Even in Kerala Water Authority and in groundwater department, we don't have such data.
Then, sir, we have Jamila ji asking, what are the steps being taken in Kerala to sensitize people to need to preserve the water?
See, extensive training programs and many camps the department is conducting. Even the water department is conducting camps throughout Kerala with the help of local self-government. And even many of the projects also we directly implement in various parts. And government is giving subsidy to well-recharge techniques and for rainwater harvest structures, 50% subsidy we are giving. And it has been now, recently the Kerala building rule has been amended in such a way, stating that a rainwater harvesting structure is a mandatory program if we have to get the building plan sanctioned. Even watershed management, groundwater management, it is very extensively being adopted by Kerala. But the fundamental question here is, when we see all these water conservation techniques, aquifer recharge techniques, we can do in a community basis. But the particular problem that we are facing in Kerala is, Immediately when we approach the people and we talk about the conventional recharging techniques, their direct question is how I will be benefited, whether it will yield my well or not. So that's the question. So it is in Kerala, it is one of the very difficult things that we face to make it in a community basis. But it is well recharging. So when we approach the people with well recharging techniques, they welcome it, and it is very, very fastly moving in Kerala, because even the local self-government, they are promoting this well recharging, they are giving subsidy, and even awareness programs they are conducting.
But don't you think that it would be good to give it to them at the educational level, where the next generation are made to feel that this is something that they really need to do in with their depending on their continuity of living on this planet.
Definitely, madam, you are right, 100% right. Why? Because what we have, from our experience, I have 30 years of experience in the department. What is our experience? Once we make the every recharge structure, every water conservation technique, and we will be handing over to a beneficiary committee. But due to lack of maintenance and lack of awareness, that program will be demolished, or it will be not in a working condition within 2 or 3 years. That is because they don't have the education from their childhood onwards. Water literacy we have to include in our school day studies. You are right.
Exactly. I think we should do that. Only then we can sensitize them to the
Yeah.
need to preserve water. Like you said, everybody has this feeling that we have 44 rivers and a lot of lakes, so there is sufficient water in Kerala, which is not the case, as you have just shown.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a very interesting talk.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Shanti ji, you can unmute and ask your question. Same way, Kalyani, Rashmi you're on here. So, Maria, you can all ask the questions, unmute and ask. Shanti ji,
hello.
1 minute, Kalyani. Shanti ji is speaking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Sure.
सर मैं ये जानना चाहती थी, जब कोई नया कंस्ट्रक्शन होता है और उसका नक्शा पास होता है हाउस का, तो ये कंपलसरी बनाना चाहिए कि वहां पर रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग का सिस्टम है या नहीं है। उससे पानी की बहुत बचत होगी और लोग करेंगे, इसको जागृत भी होंगे। और दूसरे घरों में जो ये हम लगा रहे हैं कि पंप लगा लेते हैं, उससे बड़ा पानी वेस्ट होता है। लेडीज जब पानी भरती हैं तो वो पंप चला लिया उन्होंने, वो खाली पानी चलेगा, उसके बाद में वो पानी भरेंगी, तो इसको कहीं ना कहीं रेस्ट्रिक्शन होना चाहिए इसके ऊपर। जो सबमर्सिबल जो पंप हैं वो घरों में लगते हैं, तो उससे पानी बहुत वेस्ट होता है। मैं क्लियरली देखती हूँ जब मैं ये काम करती हूँ बहुत जगह कि खूब पानी वेस्ट हो रहा है और पंप जो है वो चलते हैं। इस पर कोई ना कोई रेस्ट्रिक्शन होनी चाहिए।
Bhuvaneshwari madam.
Yeah.
Can you my Hindi standard Hindi?
No, what she is saying is that at this time of construction itself, there should be some permission should be, they have to take permission, and also some measures to be taken for conservation. Rainwater harvesting and all that should be made compulsory. That's what you wanted to know, no, Shanti ji?
Yes, I want to know this.
Yeah.
I don't know what is the legal provision in your place, but in Kerala, there is a mandatory provision that when we apply for a building plan, we have to mention in that request about the rainwater harvesting structure. And once we construct the building, we have to get the number of the building. Without constructing the rainwater harvesting structure, they won't give. So here it is, in Kerala, it is a mandatory provision.
In UP, it is not compulsory, sir.
Yeah. See, in Kerala also, it was not mandatory, but it was a recent amendment in the Kerala building rule. It was a recent amendment, but before that it was not. But the thing is, madam, there is some problem in that also. See, there are places where this groundwater harvesting structure is not at all needed. In such place also, they are bound to construct this, and that will happen. They won't use it, and ultimately, it will come as a mosquito growing station. That's the problem.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Is there any way of recharging a pond?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, we can recharge by diverting. See, actually,
Yeah.
the basic concept of the recharge, it should be based on a watershed management basis. That was the basic principle of recharging, aquifer recharging. So that means we have to select micro watersheds, and we have to divert by plugging. That I was telling you about the gully plugging and all. Plugging the first order or second order stream, we have to divert the water force into the lake.
Okay. We have done recharging of the well. We have done the recharging of the well.
Yeah.
But for the pond, do you have to divert the water from the compound, or what can be done?
So the same way we can do. See, what precisely I was meant that precisely recharge means the transferring of any drop of water to the aquifer by human intervention. If we can divert the water, all the wastewater after treating, if there is possibility, geologically, if there is possibility to transfer those water into the lake, we can charge using that water. Only the water that is being used for recharging should be pure.
Setulashmi ji, if you Setulashmi,
thank you.
You can come in.
Okay, okay. Thank you, madam. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I wanted to. You told us that this concreting of our courtyards is raising up, and it is the main reason of the non-penetration of water underneath. So, shall we bring some legislation for that? Because many of the people are doing, and it is going increasing and increasing. And you told us that. For a block, this 30 to 35 liters are needed for block construction. So shall we turn to some other environmental friendly type of construction in Kerala, very much environmental friendly? Then the third one is that previously KSSP, Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, was very much keen in formulating many agenda, especially in this KP Aravindan and all, Dr. Iqbal and all. So shall we formulate such things, especially in this 4 years of government tenure, with the help of groundwater, then Kerala Water Authority or groundwater and KSSP, etc. Shall we formulate good plans for the government so that we can conserve our mother nature? These are my questions. Thank you so much.
Actually, the had already forwarded such proposals to the government very long back, but unfortunately, we know we are not the deciding people. These are political matters. Actually, proposals are there, especially to ban the flooring of these compounds using non-permeable material. That is there, but there are some legal issues also in that. But as a whole, all government, they are not much serious about such things, and they are not so far involved in making such legislation. But proposals are there. From our side, proposals are there.
Okay, thank you, sir. We shall let it come true. Your
Yeah. Let us hope the best.
Yeah, I stay in a Larry model house.
Can I speak?
Mr. Ravi Nair has again written in the chat box. I have requested him to come on, unmute and talk. He says there are equipments which can avoid water flow, from the tank and all that. So, Mr. Ravi Nair, would you like to come in and talk yourself? You can talk, unmute and talk.
Thank you, madam. It was very informative, sir, this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Very happy to be a part of this program. And we manufacture automatic water level controllers. You know that one madam was just asking about that, or she is seeing continuous overflow from neighbors. So to avoid that, we are making automatic water level controllers. So it will switch on the motor when the water becomes empty, and it will switch off the motor when the tank becomes full. Okay, before overflowing the tank. so that we can avoid a lot of wastage of water. You know, that a lot of water is being wasted as overflow daily from almost all the houses. No, so we can avoid that by using these type of products. So the product details are available in www.wer.in. I will put it here.
You can put that in the chat box if you, so that anybody can, take note of it. Sir, anything you would like to say about that?
Webinar, I have it. How much is the cost coming for such a water level?
3,000 rupees, sir.
Pardon?
Here about 3,000 rupees.
3,000 rupees.
From 700 to 3,000 solutions are there. No?
Yeah, here also it is available. Some companies are making it, this VGuard and all. But the main thing is it is not lasting for a long time. After 1 year, some problem is happening to such a system, and the automatic stoppage will be stopping.
Yeah, that is not there because we are in this field for the last 14 years.
So many companies in Kerala is manufacturing this type of, especially this VGuard, Bajaj, they are also manufacturing. And I think cost-wise, their cost is higher than yours.
Yeah,
but I found this set of problem. It is not lasting for a long time.
Yes, sir, you can please try our system. No?
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Are you providing any warranty or anything?
Yeah, warranty, sir, but all system is lasting almost.
How many years? Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, and basically we are concentrating only on this product, no. So we are putting all our effort on our R&D and all, no. That's why we have come out with a reliable system. That's the
Next time when I meet you, I will be giving the exact water which is being lost through our, because that's an indication. So far, I didn't come across that one. The point to be considered.
That information is very essential for us.
Very essential. It is a point to be considered.
Yeah. I will give one sample product to you, sir.
Sir, the site, his site, he has put it, the link. His site www.elwer.in, that is given in the chat box now. Thank you. And who else wanted to talk? Yeah, Lakshmi Bai wanted to talk, and also Kamini ji. Lakshmi Bai.
Thank you.
Lakshmi Bai, thank you for pointing out. She suggested your name, sir, in our... yeah.
That is why I got this support.
Already answered my question, so I don't have to...
it is about that.
Lakshmi, I have seen your question in the chat box. That is why I answered indirectly.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Kamini ji.
Yeah, so it was a very informative talk, full of information.
Can I ask you one more thing?
I'm sure all of us enjoyed your talk. And as a retired college teacher, I feel that I was also the NSS program officer. The NSS units and adult education department in the college can take up the task of taking the college students to the community and then sensitizing them on the judicious use of water, which is very important. And also the schools, children can also be involved in this extension work. Then there are two purposes that we are able to get through. One is getting the children to understand the importance of this issue, and through them taking the message to the community. So this is a very important issue, and as you said, we have only 1% of the water remaining. We have to judiciously use the water. And I feel the colleges, even people like us, All India Women's Conference, can think of sensitizing this community through our programs also, I think. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the informative talk. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, now someone else is asking any question.
Yeah, when Kamini madam started talking, in between I heard somebody was talking something.
Okay. Who else? Kindly unmute and ask any question. Maria, you wanted to, you had written something. Lakshmi Bai, yeah.
Times when I try, and then even for a day, these questions are being addressed very late.
Lakshmi, it's not clear.
Some net problem.
Net problem.
Here now?
കേൾക്കുന്നില്ല ലക്ഷ്മി ഭായ്, we're not able to hear.
Hello?
ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് കേട്ടില്ലേ സർ?
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
ഇപ്പൊ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
Audible.
Whenever we travel, we find cases on the roads, and the problems are not being addressed to each. It takes times.
It's not
Audible.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Break ആവുന്നുണ്ട് രശ്മി ഭായ്. It's breaking. Your voice is breaking. Now Maria, after
Purashri, I have a very silly doubt to ask.
No, doubt can be silly.
Okay, you know me, no? I am Mrs. George.
You know, George, your friend.
Yeah, I am Shanta George. My doubt is this. Yeah, everybody is asking the overflowing, water from the tank. We are wasting water, but actually this water is flowing to the ground, no? Back to the ground.
Yeah. So is it actually wasted? Yes.
Yeah. Is it actually wasted? That's my question.
Yeah. That is a tricky question actually.
And when we take bath also, the water flows to the ground. And when you wash blades, the water flows to the ground. And actually, it has to.
No, the entire water will not be recharging, but a particular portion will be vaporized, and a particular portion will be vaporized somehow from the soil, from the surface itself. A particular portion will be recharging.
The particular portion will be reaching. Yes.
Definitely, it will be recharging. Depending upon the type of the soil, slope of the soil, a particular quantity will recharge. But even then, there is a wastage. Whatever quantity you vaporized, that we have to account for wastage.
We cannot say it's 100%.
The total quantity.
Yes. And I remember in my childhood, our forefathers used to collect this rainwater. I remember very well. They tie white clothes over that as filters and collect the water. And they get nice, clear rainwater. They use everything even for drinking. And we use this tank also. This tank subsidy and all we have also got for our agricultural tanks.
ജോർജ് സാറിന് സുഖം തന്നെയല്ലേ?
സുഖം തന്നെ.
നിലമ്പൂരാ ഉള്ളത്?
അല്ലല്ല, ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ട്.
ഞാൻ കാണാതെ കുറേയായി.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Padmini. I have a question to ask you. Hello.
Actually,
brick to make brick. ഈ ചെങ്കൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കാനായിട്ട് എത്ര വെള്ളം വേണം? മറ്റേ കോൺക്രീറ്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കാനായിട്ടുള്ള എന്റെ പറഞ്ഞു. ചെങ്കൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കാനായിട്ട് എത്ര വെള്ളത്തിന്റെ ആവശ്യമുണ്ടോ?
Actually, we are not manually manufacturing laterite bricks. It is a natural thing. But concrete blocks we are manufacturing manually using cement, sand, etc. We are manufacturing manually. But laterite bricks, that is a natural formation. We just cut it and use it. That's the thing.
Just a clarification. അത് നമ്മള് വെട്ടുകല്ലല്ലേ ചുടുകല്ല് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നതിന്റെ കാര്യമാണ് ചോദിച്ചത്.
ഞാൻ ചുടുകല്ലിന്റെ ചോദിച്ചത്.
Brick you mean? Brick.
I asked brick.
Okay. I heard it as laterite brick. No, brick, actually I don't know how much quantity is being used for brick. It need water. How much quantity I don't know, madam, actually. I don't have the figure with me.
Then one more question I have. This rainwater harvesting, can we use the well for that? Our usual well?
Yeah, definitely we can recharge the well directly. That is what I am mentioning.
Will it not overflow the well?
No. Normally not. See, there are wells which is capable of that part. I didn't go because it's a very detailed instruction. See, all wells we cannot recharge. there are wells which is suitable for recharging. Wells with a shallow water level, we need not recharge. Wells which being overflowing during rainy season, we want there is no meaning in recharging that one. See, wells which are having deeper water level and such wells which is the aquifer which is not fully filled, there should be enough space to fill the water. So such wells only we can recharge, we can select for recharge. Many of the wells we cannot recharge.
And one more question, the last question. See, the well water, it can, I mean, you said that we can use it for flushing, toilet flushing and all. Any other use for that water? Well, of course, we are well water. We are not here in my place. We are not using well water for drinking purpose. Only for tree chedi nanaikkanum okay use cheyyunnullu. Chedi nanaikkanum and toilet. I'm just planning to use that water for toilet flushing. Okay. Is there any other use?
Why we are not in well water for drinking purpose?
No, we have other water.
See. You can check that water. I was telling about the quality problem. Now you can take 2 liters of water. You can send it for chemical analysis, and you can decide based on the analytical report. We can decide whether your well water is potable, suitable for drinking purpose or not. It is we need not think that well water is not suitable for drinking. If there is any ingredient which is above the limit, you can treat that water also. Of course, when you are using pipe water only.
Yeah, we are using pipe water.
Pipe water. Do you think that pipe water is pure?
Pardon? No, we boil it and drink, We boil and drink.
Yeah, boil means bacteria will be gone, but if any chemical content is there, if the chloride content is there, if the nitrate content won't go. By boiling, equally and bacteria will be gone. But all chemical ingredients which is done in the water, that will not go by boiling the water. So normally you can use well water if it's in the potable limit, everything you can use for everything. And there are water which we cannot use even for our bathroom purpose also. See, if the water is having much higher content and if the pH level is low, if you use that water in the bathroom and all, your closets and wash will be reacted and it will be having a yellowish color and all. And the tiles, the floor tiles, that will turn into yellow. That is, See, all depends upon the chemical parameter. Initially, we have to test the water. Chemically, we have to test the water to decide whether it is possible for drinking purpose, whether it is used for whether we can use in the toilet purpose or. See, there are water which is that we cannot even use in the toilet also. All the basins will be gone. And even the water is acidic, even our kitchens, that will be corroded.
So it's a good advice I'm getting, because I was almost about to have a tank for that to connect with the flesh, I almost, now I have decided not to, because I got a good advice from you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Padmini ji. That was very useful for all of us also. Now, sir, Kalyani ji, would you like, Kalyani Raj is there from our headquarters. She is the member in charge. Would you like to say anything? She has done a lot of work in these areas. Kalyani ji, are you there?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bhuvaneshwari. Thank you so much. I mean, I really have nothing to say after I heard Mr. Mohan speaking about so many issues. And the best part is, as I said, I put in the chat that I have learned so much from the interactions, because everyone seems to be having, some knowledge and other relevant to, the water conservation. And this sort of exchange is really helps a lot, and we come up with the practical knowledge more than the theoretical knowledge, so which is actually what we need. So I'm so happy I attended this, and I just Mr. Mohan spoke about something conventional and non-conventional way of water treatment. So that is also so important, as Sheila ji had mentioned. That we set up this Sheilaji mentioned, we set up the non-traditional method of water conservation in the head office, in the sense like we are using plants, not the traditional electricity way of water, sewage water treatment, but we are using plants and from the Pusa Institute, and the plants and the stones are treating the water and we are using it. So, there is no use of energy, no use of any bacteria feeding in, and also these are, I think, methods we should sort of popularize little more for everyone. And anyway, thank you so much. It was an excellent webinar and quite informative. Thank you, Mr. Mohan, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you, Bhuvneshwari.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Madam has done a lot of work in these areas. That's why I said, yeah. Is there anybody else? So would you like to say anything about what Kalyani Raj said? Okay. Shall I proceed? Okay.
Yeah. You can proceed.
Is there anybody else who would like to ask or say something? Yes, it seems that there is one new message. Let me see. No, it's an appreciation from Lakshmi Bhai. Nothing new in the chat now. Is there anybody else? Okay. Now I think, Usha, shall we now come to the concluding part of it? Usha? Usha, you are muted. Shall we?
We can ask Shashikala for the summing up.
Yeah, okay. Shashikala Tampan, over to you.
Yes. Bhuvana, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
India is severely water stressed, and water crisis hits women hardest. In many states in rural India, women, quote unquote, walk for water several kilometers daily. Water management is a national priority. Advocate K.V. Mohanan, sir, your presentation reflects the extensive experience you have in this field, focusing on groundwater use and conservation. The visuals were excellent, with mind-boggling data that made us dive into the topic. To begin with, quantifying global water availability, any subsurface geological formation, tube wells, bore wells, or open wells are all groundwater. Some highlights of the presentation: water demand for the food we eat, our wash behavior, even concrete bricks used to build our beautiful villas, indiscriminate pumping for farming, all goes to show how precious water resources are and how man is selfishly exploiting it. Kerala has a unique well density, but it is natural that here too, the per capita fresh water availability decreases with time. Artificial recharge is essential for water conservation, terracing, check dams, etc. Rainwater harvesting is a recharge initiative, mandatory provision for building permits in Kerala. It can also recharge existing wells using filters. The underlying message is the need to collectively keep in mind the need for groundwater conservation and collaborate for low-cost water management and interventions, water-conscious communities. We saw an informative, interactive session with keen participation by our members, maybe like never before. Sir, you have a legal mind. You are a producer of documentaries, and you have other equally creative talents. AIWC will want you back. For now, on behalf of Suvarna, a big thank you to you, sir, for the scholarly presentation. Warm regards to your wife. She is here. An active member, Remani Malayat. Thank you to our President Sheila Ji, Secretary General Kuljit Ji, Treasurer Rehana Ji, Kalyani Ji, Usha Ji, our zonal organizer, and all members across AIWCs for sharing this platform and, like always, sparking that thought process. Thank you. Over to you, Bhuvana.
Okay, now we have come to the Ushaji is there. Yeah, Ushaji, would you like to say anything? I was not sure whether you are there. Ushaji, can you come online?
Thank you so much. And it has been a very interesting session. I'm sorry I've not been able to take active part in it, but thank you, Mr. Mohan, for your very informative talk. And I'm sure it has benefited all of us. And there were members from across the country who joined. And maybe in as a future webinar, we can hope to organize a class so that, you know, we can give some step-by-step instructions for which members can follow, because there are many who are in apartments, there are many who have houses and with plenty of land where they can do these water conservation measures. So maybe we can plan ahead for such a thing with active participation from Mr. Mohan and also from the Shastra Sahitya Parishad, because they have done tremendous work in this area, I know. And it would be very interesting to have them take a class for us. Thank you so much. And thank you, Bhuvaneshwari, and a very well organized and very informative webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ushaji, for being there. Okay, now shall we stop? Okay.
Thank you very much.